thing we need you to do is say and spell your name and your title, I guess, that you have or had.
I don't even know what they call us nowadays, but I'll go with what we had.
Okay. Go ahead.
So you'll say and spell your name and
Okay.
your title currently,
Okay.
or what you retired with.
Hi, my name is Jean Heights, Hites. I'm a dispatcher. The city of Kettering started in 1986, and at that time we were called dispatchers.
Is that your test run again?
Well, apparently, it's not getting what I thought I was supposed to be getting. Go ahead and tap your microphone real quick.
Okay, all right.
It's working.
Restart.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and I know you briefly said it, but when did you start and finish working for the city of Kettering?
I started working at Kettering Police Department in 1986, late March, I believe it was March 30th, 1986, and I came to the police department after having worked for the city schools since 1979. And at that time, that was a part-time job. My kids were in school, and that worked out perfectly, so I came here in 86. And I retired in 2010, full-time, but I've been back since 2010. So I'm now up to a total of 36 years.
Did you come back immediately after you retired?
Had to wait 2 months, and then I came back, yeah. And I did work a lot at the beginning. Now it's pretty much, as things move on, it's when they need another body to fill a chair, pretty much.
And why did you apply for a job at the city of Kettering?
I remember that in our interview. Not very good. I was getting divorced. I needed a full-time job. And I tried to get on the schools full-time, which would have still given me a little more time with the kids, being off for the summers and things. But the pay at Kettering was much better. And I know they always ask me, do you have this love of dispatching? You always wanted to work here? And I said, no, I can't say I did. I didn't even know. In fact, I didn't get into the dispatch center until my third day here. I didn't even know what it looked like. They didn't just take you in and show you. Now you can go in and check it out, and they have the groups going through. But I'd always really respected the police department because I think partly because my mother worked for the police department when I was growing up, and she was back then a crossing guard, and she was a meter maid in the summers, and I was always very proud of her. The kids loved her at the crosswalk there, and so, that's my mom. So she liked it when I got to say, I work in the police department now too. She loved it.
What was it like when you came to Kettering?
Well, it was very scary. Like I said, I had a huge respect for the police department because that's the way I was raised, of course. So I felt honored, I guess, to be in there, and definitely not worthy. But once I got inside and got to know everyone, and it really became, because you get so close to everyone, it became a family. It really did become a family. And I don't think, you always hear the separations of dispatchers and patrols and all that, and I never saw that there. In fact, we were always included in all the watch meetings and all of this and that, and then we'd hang out together afterwards, and of course we were all a lot younger, and that was after work at 11 o'clock. That was the thing to do, and go to somebody's house and play cards or whatever. But it was a very, very, very challenging for me to start with, because I think I can be kind of a perfectionist about things, and I sure wasn't at the beginning. I couldn't get anything right, it seemed like. But it meant a lot to me, and I was pretty proud.
What was your day like when you first came?
My day at work? Well, I can remember the training part of it. Those were some of the worst times I've ever had, I think, going through that, because I would just go home and cry because, I'd get somebody's name wrong or number wrong, or I'd do something wrong, and I'd go home, and I can remember practicing in the shower just to get the phonetic alphabet and so forth down, because I didn't want to get up there and go blank. So once I got past that stage, though. I'd say it got very comfortable, and things were slow enough. You'd have your busy moments, certainly, and there were a lot less of us to do things, and we covered a lot more area. But for the most part, it got to be kind of a pretty routine. You know, you got to know the people on the road and what to expect when they made a stop, or you get to know the way they're going to say something. And 'cause half the time, the radios were very iffy back then. Sometimes you might lose them totally. There was a time when we had somebody on a traffic stop, and he had his siren going. It was down around Shaunce and Dixie, I guess, under the bridge. He had been chasing him, basically. At that time, you could still do that, and he had him stopped. All we could get on the radio was his siren going, and so we kept trying to call him, had no idea what was going on. And I can just remember that pretty clearly. So it was made you a little frantic at the time because you had nobody to fall back on. You know, you couldn't get them there, and the people were far away. They were getting down there to him, and then, you know, you get them as, oh, sorry, I forgot. You know, but it was pretty stressful at times because you feel responsible for them. They're your boys out there, and girls now too. But yeah, sense of responsibility for sure.
Just going off of what you just said, so as a makeup of a department when you began being almost all men?
No, there were a few girls.
Okay.
There were, I think, like 3 at the time,
Okay.
maybe 3, and they'd had a couple that had gone out. We had more male dispatchers. Well, I guess it's about the same. We've only had 1 or 2 at a time. But yeah, the officers it was definitely more male than it is now. But they had broken the ice there a little. And we kind of hung out a little bit more because the only girls around, maybe, you know, we'd use their locker room and that sort of thing, which made me feel kind of good, you know, hanging out with the police.
Do you remember your first big project or a large project that was going on early in your career?
See, I don't know that we would really have any big projects to speak of. It was large undertakings when they moved us out of the Shryock room into what used to be dispatch. Was then the Shryock room next, and they had to put us up in the classroom for quite some time. So we had wires strung clear across everywhere. But so getting used to that sort of thing, and every time we got a new computer system or something, that was huge when we went to computers. But I think it was the process of getting those things implemented, maybe. But I don't know that I ever had any project. I mean, there were times I did write a paper up on the accessibility for someone handicapped working in there and what might have to be done, but it wasn't. It was just sort of my personal opinions about what would be needed if somebody were handicapped in some way in there to work.
Can you speak about the implementation of the computers in dispatch when those showed up?
That was horrible. It was every time we changed, it's horrible. I guess I don't like change. The very first time, though, because there were so many, all of us were older then. I mean, I was one of the younger ones then. But, you know, the older you get, the less you like change. Oh, my gosh. And here are all these people that never wanted an answering machine in their house, you know, or whatever. Now you've got these computers, and they're all foreign, and they're breaking down all the time. So for a while, it seems to me, we went both ways. We had our cards, and our cards are still our fallback if we need to, if everything goes down. But you got so used to having done it a certain way that it's very difficult to all of a sudden get things done in with the same speed and the same maybe accuracy even. And you know, they're always saying how, once we get computers, we'll get rid of all the paper. We won't have any paper in here. Well, that freaked us out. How can you not have paper in here? I can't. What if you make a mistake and you can't go back that quickly and change it? And of course, they were pretty. It was a very bare form, I guess. You didn't have a lot of drop-down screens or anything. You pretty much had to type things in. One of the biggest things the printers have changed a whole lot. When we first got started, we had I guess those are like dot matrix, maybe with the paper that has the holes on the side. And those used to be trying because it would get jammed in there all the time, and then all your leads printouts you'd have to start over. And the leads connections have changed a whole lot too, because we used to, before my time, I think they had to call it in maybe, but we could send in requests, but you wouldn't necessarily get it back right away. And if you did, to run anything, it was by hand. Entering a warrant or something, you'd get partway through, well, it didn't wait. If you had something coming in, you got wiped out. And then you'd have to start over. So you try to type really fast to get all the information out before you'd lose it. So those were some big changes. Of course, now you're looking back on it, I think, why did I ever miss that way? But it's what we got used to.
Anything else on that?
No.
How did your career and or personality evolve from kind of the beginning towards the end of your career?
People find this hard to believe, I think, most of the time, but I'm not good around people. I'm kind of shy. And I know I smile all the time. And part of that is just, it's habit, I guess. I don't know. That's just the way it goes. But I was very nervous coming in and feeling, like I said before, kind of unworthy. I felt sort of below everybody. And so I think I've become a little more sure of myself, possibly. And I think, if anything, I've gotten where, I don't know how to say it, but I appreciate it even more, all the people and so maybe I've become more open. I don't know. But yeah, it's really helped for me, I'm sure. And I love it. I always get that on my evaluations, oh, you're always in a good mood and everybody loves to work with you. And I thought, oh, good, I hope so. I try to bring them a lot of cookies and stuff so they'll like me.
June, during your career, what are the biggest changes you remember, whether it be the city's infrastructure, demographics, cultural climate, economic state, or working styles? I know you just briefly touched on some of that, of those changes, but...
Well, the economic thing that comes to mind for me is the way it's so changed from the nice little bedroom community to an extension of Dayton. It's just so much different than it used to be. And I know that's everywhere, but it was, I think, when they ended up getting, I used to live on Acorn, and it was a really nice area at the time, not fancy at all, but it had nice family, community type, we were close, we had block parties and that kind of stuff. And now it's gone up and down a few times, but it had gotten really bad there for a while. And then they started having all the Section 8s coming in to all those apartments up there, and it just started going downhill, and the crime increased, of course. I said, you can close all those projects and whatever and move them in, but you don't change the person at all, and they're just bringing that with them. There's no, let's give you some classes on what's expected here or something. I don't know. You just can't keep up your lifestyle when you come somewhere else. But I noticed that a lot with it just got kind of, seemed like it got run down. I mean, that's perking up again, I think.
Anything else on that, changes-wise, with your job, how things are dispatched from start to finish?
Well, it's become much less personal now than it was, I think. When you came in as a dispatcher, you were here forever. And the only time you left was maybe if you moved away, you got married, whatever, there might be a change. But people came and stayed, and same with police officers. They were kind of in groups. When they'd come in, you knew they'd be here for their 25 whatever years, and then you get this next group, and there's always the old joke to the ones retiring, like there probably still is. Man, if I had 25 years out of me, I'd go kill myself or whatever. There's no way I can handle that. But it seems now it's turned into more, you don't know the people nearly as well. I think there's a lot more separation, which they'd had over the years, the back and forth with no one go in dispatch, and then they'd have to stay out for a while, and then pretty soon they'd start coming in, but that was like our time to chat and catch up, and it was slow enough then you could do it, and they would come in and grab a phone and help out, but now it's so computerized, you can't get somebody to help. I don't know what I'm doing still, so you can't, it used to be such a joke about just pick a body up off the street and have them come in and warm the chair. That's because we can take care of it all. But not anymore. You really need all those people up there keep up with the volume of stuff, and it's very impersonal anymore, I think, than what it used to be. I mean, we try to stay personal, I think, with the people calling in, but as far as people around here, there are so many new people, I don't know hardly any of them. I never see them. And I think there's more of a break again between maybe admin and patrol and dispatch and patrol, dispatch and administration. It's gotten a little more broken, I think, than what it used to be.
So a number of years ago, there was a move towards regional dispatch
Oh,
centers.
yeah.
So talk about that, from how Kettering went about it, kind of conversations you had and thoughts.
We had the card group, and
So
thanks.
kind of start from the front. 10 years ago or whatever it was, there was.
Oh, yeah, it was a while ago. Well, I know the dispatchers we were all kind of up in arms because Kettering was ours. We didn't want to give it away to somebody. We wanted to stay here. And when it started coming in through city council and so forth, that they were thinking about this because it would save the city all this money and everything. And so we got our group organized called CARD. And I can't even remember who all organized it, but we had a lot of people backing us, and we all went out and went door to door and said who we were, why we thought we should say that our connection with the community was so much greater than it would be with the county, and just knowing you knew the people, you knew the neighborhoods, you knew they knew their officers. It was just a very close knit. Well, then the comments were going around, with the city council and everything. We all came, spoke at each meeting and all of that sort of thing, and we got the comments about, well, you are the low-hanging fruit, we were called, which is a real slap in the face. So we can get rid of you. You're dispensable, But luckily, the city at that time really stood up for us and decided. And maybe the citizens too, I don't know, but they decided, they want their own local police. They don't want a big organized county, whatever. And I think the answer proved well in that direction, because I think Kettering has done better than we could have hoped had we gone with the county, I think.
Very good. What was it like when you left the city of Kettering? I know you're still here, but when you left.
When I left. They gave me the best going away party. It was so sad. I hated to go. And everybody knew that. But then once I found out I was coming back, it was better. But we got a really good party out of it. But I think it had not made the big change yet. It was still good. And maybe it's because I was here all the time and knew everyone. And we were still in I don't know what room we were in, but we still had a lot more contact with everyone. It wasn't quite as separated as it's become. And it seemed like we were one big team, and I felt like I was leaving my family for a while, so I get attached to people, so that was hard. But I stayed in touch with everybody, and then, like I said, I was back in a couple of months, and it was okay. So.
As far as the city goes.
How it's changed.
Can you speak of that a little bit?
I know the city itself has physically changed a lot. I'm afraid I'm not in touch enough to really know too much how it's changed with. One big thing that I do know made a big difference, and I don't know when this was exactly, it might have been about the time I retired, was when Human Resources made a major change. Everybody up there retired, I think at the same time, and everybody was pretty disgruntled, I believe, by that time. But it seemed like we had, for dispatchers, we noticed that a lot, that we were friends with them too, but they were our go-to people. And we just knew them all by name. You could call, and if you had an insurance problem or something, they were just so friendly and so helpful. And it again, it's because of that closeness, I think. Now it's just become, you put in a request, you do this, it's on the computer, you don't have to see me, you don't have to talk to me. And if you have a question, you can write it out for me, but there's no personal stuff at all. And I think that made a huge difference with feeling less important to the whole city as far as our job goes. We did kind of become the afterthoughts, I think, often. But as far as the city itself has changed, I mean, I think it's still, the demographics of it have changed a lot. Probably more since in the last 12 years. But I can't really speak to administration and that sort of thing. I don't really know.
What do you think most of now when you
Well, I
talk
don't
to
know why I called it,
I think, gosh, I hope I can learn this computer program so I can keep working. This has been a major thing for me. And then taking on Miami's Township, I think that's just huge. In fact, I had decided I probably wouldn't come back after the first of the year because I didn't want to learn that city and everything, but they have been great about helping me to just pick up what I need to do anyway. I can still kind of answer a phone okay. But just today there was a call for a repossession, and they gave me the address, and I think, okay, it's out by the Dayton Mall. It's Miami Township, so I get it all, the information. Turns out it's right at the border there, and it's Washington Township. It's not Miami Township. So I don't know if I'll ever get all that stuff down or not.
All right, go back. What happened with Miami Township?
Oh, that they've come in, that they have.
Tell us
I'm
from
sorry.
the start.
Sorry. After,
well, because
again, I've been part-time through all of this, so I don't know all the ins and outs. I just hear the mainly the bad and the good, some good. When the city decided it would be, I understand, that it would be a profitable thing for them to take on other jurisdictions to secure our position of having our dispatch center. That was a big thing for the dispatchers now. If the question came up again, if we had to go to another regional center of some sort, would they divide the county into thirds? Would they do this? What would they do? Would they have a south, a north, a central, and then Huber Heights took over Riverside and did this, and Centerville got West Carrollton, and there was just a lot of shuffling. And what's going to be the best way? What's Kettering going to do? Kettering wants to be one of the people that's taking people in. So when they remodeled the building, we got more space, got more positions. And I don't know what all went through to get that, but they came to an agreement with Miami Township that Miami Township was not happy with the county. And as always happens, I suppose, whatever the county had told them way back then, the price per call and all that stuff went up, everything changed, and it wasn't beneficial for Miami Township. Maybe it was beneficial for the county, I don't know. So then they started looking for other places, and same with West Carrollton and all those. Now, I don't know how they decide what's what, but we ended up having Miami Township, and they are physically no dispatchers for Miami Township, although they did hire 3 dispatchers, but mainly just to get us back up to speed. So we're now at, I don't know what they have now, 13 or 14 dispatchers, and we have another spot we can use for Miami Township, but the problem there is we don't always have 4 people working, so you don't have a person at each position. So you now have, which is part of my problem coming in, you've got to be able to work all those positions pretty much. And because I've never learned the computer system that well, I'm not good on those traffic stops that come boom, 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 keeping up on the radio. So the phone person has to take care of all the phone calls, 911, Miami Township, Kettering, on a 3-person day. And 3 people's not enough for up there. You might have some downtime, but you're also going to have some super busy times where it just gets kind of chaotic. It's involved a lot of work for especially the TAC people, because all their paperwork has to be put in through Kettering now. So they've been working on that for quite some time. It's confusion, on my part, and they seem to handle it. The regular dispatchers are doing a fantastic job, though. It's myself that I can't keep up to speed because I'm not in here very often. I know I could do it, but there's lots of extra work because, they've got Miami Township now. They definitely have a different clientele. They don't get a call about, maybe they do, but I haven't heard many about a barking dog or about the neighbor's leaves blowing over into my yard. You get, everything's like, oh, he's got a knife to her throat, or there are guns, and there this, and there. I mean, everything seems to be a little more intense in Miami Township. So much for this. Like Kettering was always you need help with a light bulb, we'll come and help you with that light bulb. I don't know if they do that in Miami Township. So it's kind of an adjustment on what call you're taking, how you respond to it, I think, too. But if I'm taking Miami Township, they're going to get the same thing that Kettering got. And if they want help, I'll still send them an officer to see what they can do.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to cover?
Well, I've gotten to say pretty much everything I want to say. It has been a really fun place to work, though. I hate to see it get... Again, a lot of it's because I'm not here all the time. But I just feel a lot more distant from everyone. I'm always surprised when somebody even knows my name, because I'm not here that much. But it's sure been a good run. I've really enjoyed it. I can't imagine having done something else all that time, and everybody's always amazed that I still want to come back. I got so excited when they got this program here going for me for a couple of weeks where I can maybe learn it. So that was good news.
You seem like a very positive, happy, upbeat
Oh,
person.
definitely, yeah.
How do you deal with those bad calls? The calls that maybe affect you?
The ones where they call you names and swear at you and all that kind of stuff.
Whatever it might be, whether
Tell you
it's,
you're worthless and, yeah.
or a bad accident or child hurt.
Oh, the bad kind like
Yeah,
that.
that kind of bad stuff.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I usually would end up probably beating myself up at some point, thinking maybe I've not done everything I could, or, you're going to second guess yourself over and over. I don't know. I take it one day at a time, I guess, and just do what you can do, and I hope I always, do the best you can do, and even though you know that, doesn't mean you're not going to blame yourself for it somehow. But one of the biggest fears was always that, the officers especially, that something would happen, and you're their lifeline, and what happens if you don't. But anyway, they do have debriefings, and they do have the care council thing now, which I've never used them, but I think that would certainly be a good thing. And luckily, thank God, I've never had anything like that happen seriously. But I did at one time have officers that were shot at, and that was quite traumatic, because they were, again, that was back in the day where we all hung out together, and these were two of my favorites, and they're both out there getting shot at, and just scared me to death. But we got through, and went to court and all that, and I felt pretty good about the way things had worked through all that until I got to court, and the defense attorney, or whichever he was, started hammering me. And I thought, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But yeah, overall, I guess you just have to, you internalize it, but we do talk a lot, though, up there about this, and that helps a lot, because anytime you have a bad call, you're going to rehash it numerous times with them and get their input or their sympathy or their... So I'd say that's a team effort up there, certainly, to help you get through all those. You've got each other's backs, that's for sure.
That's all I have.
Anything else you wanted to?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.